Hey everybody, the Super Vader 400 here, the brown skinned human, and of course Douglas Blair Roberts coming back at you with another video. And as you can see by the title above, this is the intro video to various Dragon Ball Z rants. Like I've said in previous videos, there will be one intro video for a bunch of audio narration reviews, because in previous videos, in previous videos, I got sick of recording an intro for every audio audio narration, and I want to save more disk space on my hard drive. So this is what we're going to be doing from now on. So this tackles every Dragon Ball Z rant: the Piccolo Saga, Saiyan Saga, Namek and Frieza sagas, Android and Cell sagas, Babidi and Majin Buu base sagas, the entire Dragon Ball Super franchise, Fakatsu no F, the entire Dragon Ball Z franchise, the entire Dragon Ball franchise, and even though I like these versions of Dragon Ball, love these versions of Dragon Ball, um, Super Brawly, and of course maybe Dragon Ball Evolution. Because while I like those films, I do have a problem. I do have a couple of problems with those films. So this is the intro video to all Dragon Ball based rants. So with that being said, let's get started right now. Gonna show you what I'm made of. This is my rant. This is part two of my rant on the Android and Cell based sagas. Like I said in part one, I actually like this saga too, but just like the Saiyan, just like the Frieza portion of the Namek saga, and just like the Buu saga, this saga as an adult is atrocious, especially the first part with the androids. It got good when Cell came along. Cell is pretty much the number one MVP of this saga and saved this saga from being terrible, and actually during its prime was the highest rated saga. Dragon Ball Z was at its highest during this season. When it got to that Majin Buu garbage, that's where the ratings and just everything went downhill. But this saga did a lot of things I didn't like or agree with either. And it was just as bad as Majin Buu. The only difference is it's just like with the first three sagas. A much better cast of characters, a much better villain, much better cast of characters, a much better villain, and a much better climax. If they would have kept this formula, this cast of characters mixed with a new cast of characters, which is what the Buu saga, which I wish the Buu saga would have done, then I would still like Dragon Ball Z. So for anyone who replies and tries to hype up this, because whenever when I've debated with Dragon Ball Z fans in the past, when they figure out defending Majin Buu doesn't work, they try to come back to this saga. They try to come back to this saga and hype up how good this saga was. This saga was just as bad as Majin Buu. It was those three things I just mentioned earlier. A much better cast of characters, a much better villain, and a much better climax. This was just as terrible as Majin Buu. Actually, even though I hate Majin Buu's storyline more, this storyline is even dumber. Is even dumber when you really think about it. When you really think about it. And like I said, from now on, we're no more playing favorites. This saga has always escaped bashing from me because this had some of my all-time favorite characters, and the characters in the saga were pretty cool, pretty cool. So this saga always escaped bashing, but from now on, no more. Even the stuff we like gets bashed. Everything gets bashed. Boost, Majin Buu Saga, and Dragon Ball Super were atrocious. And since those two were your climax, I deemed the entire Dragon Ball franchise, anything produced and written by Akira Toriyama, to be automatically fail and absolutely terrible. You cannot have a bad saga. You cannot have two bad sagas. And you damn sure cannot have two bad sagas as your grand finale. So yeah, let's get back to the Android based saga. First, we're gonna start off with the return of Frieza. With the return of Frieza, Frieza gets rebuilt stronger than ever as a cyborg. He comes to Earth and he gets killed by an unknown Super Saiyan with a sword. Trunks didn't tell you his name or why he was there until after this fight was over. After Frieza had already been killed. So Frieza came out of nowhere, came all the way to Earth just to get his butt killed even faster by an unknown Super Saiyan. Yet, the plot of this series, which Trunks tells Goku, is that 3 years, Dr. Gero builds two androids who come and kill all of the Z fighters except for kills all the Z fighters except for Gohan. Then several years later, they get Gohan. They get Gohan too. So somehow Frieza, Frieza, who is a superpower over galactic, intergalactic warlord, an emperor, with four transformations, and each one being more powerful than the last, with the second through four being over 1 million in power levels, somehow equipping to three androids, no, to five androids with cybernetics, gives them the ability to, in Android 19 and 20's case, to withstand an assault from a Super Saiyan android, and in Android 17, 18, and 16's case, dominate a Super Saiyan, beat it up, beat it up with ease. And these, once again, these are not mutants, aliens, or super beings. Super beings. These are ordinary humans equipped with cybernetics and somehow are easily able to take on the Super Saiyans. I've always let this bullshit slide because the androids were some of the best characters in the show. They were some of the only characters with a real legitimate purpose to be in the series even longer than they should, and 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 has some of the best and coolest backstories. So I always let the plot holes and BS with them slide. But once again, no more. Even our favorite characters get bashed. So let's talk about the androids. And somehow Dr. Gero, an old man who's never trained a day in his life, can easily grab Yamcha and steal his energy. Can steal his energy and be stronger than Yamcha, and Android 19 can withstand an assault from Super Saiyan Goku. Goku with the heart virus should have beat him, and Goku should have beat him without KO, without Super Saiyan. Just Kaioken should have been enough to beat down that android. And they never explained this. And like Man of Christ said, it's a plot hole. So if I were to go equip, I'm gonna steal this from him. If I go equip Par and Popo and what's the other guy's name? Oolong with androids. So will they be able to take on Z fighters, especially Oolong and Par, who aren't fighters? Will they be able to take on the Z fighters? So it's like saying it's bullshit. Then people try to defend us by saying, well, Dr. Gero used stronger parts. Um, all of the Z fighters are a million, a million plus, 1,000 and a million plus in power levels. The power level, the superhuman punch with 1,000 and a million behind it will break the strongest of metal. So stop with that. They use stronger parts. Just because he used stronger parts, it is a, then they try to use this fact that, oh well, Dr. Gero's a genius. Just because he's a genius and smart doesn't make what they're trying to tell us in this show possible. It's a plot hole. And let me show you where Toriyama got this bullshit from. He watched Terminator 2 Rise of the Machine. I mean Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which was out right around the same time. Which was out 2 years before this atrocious saga came out. Atrocious Saga, and thought, oh well, that was good in one series, and we see this is follows a shonen stereotype, which means the next villain has to be automatically stronger than the last, even if it's not possible for the next villain to be stronger than the last. So he said, oh, what's powerful? What's cool? What's cool? Oh yeah, Terminator style robots taking over the city. That's pretty cool. Except in Terminator, I think his name is Kyle Reese. And Sarah Connor aren't superhuman, and the Schwarzenegger bot, who's a good guy in the sequels, he's one of the only superhuman beings of his kind in that series. So there's bigger stakes, and it's more believable for androids to be able to take over the world in that series than in this series, the post Saiyan and Frieza saga, where and even the androids can get their moves and fighting abilities, they can't they don't have their gravity training, which was established in both of the Saiyan and Namek sagas. Goku survived. Goku had to train under 50 plus gravity to even attain 1/3 of the power level needed to become a Super Saiyan. So this right here is complete and utter bullshit. But once again, let's pretend. That somehow equipping humans with cybernetics makes them strong enough to contend with the Z fighters and the Super Saiyans of the team. So let's continue that. So Trunks comes after he kills Frieza. He wants to speak with Goku privately. He tells Goku the news how 3 years the androids kill everyone except Gohan. In 13 years or several years later, they get Gohan. They get Gohan too. Goku, even though Trunks is here warning you about the Super Saiyans, Goku still insists on fighting them. It still insists on fighting them, and not only does he insist on fighting them, but they train, lift weights, and spar on Earth, and somehow that's supposed to make you powerful enough to beat superhuman killing robots or cyborgs. Cyborgs just lifting weights, training on Earth. That's all they do. They wait to after the battle with the androids to go try out that hyperbolic time chamber thing to try to find a level above Super Saiyan, and in the humans' case, a level above the level they're at right now. And then Tien, Piccolo, Krillin, Krillin especially, and Chaozu. Tien leaves Chaozu behind, but those guys are quick to fight a battle. Those guys are quick to fight in a battle. They're destined to lose. Then they're willing to team up with Vegeta, especially Tien, Yamcha, and Chaozu, the guy who had them killed in the last arc, and Krillin and Gohan and Krillin especially are willing to team up with Vegeta again. On Namek, you had to. It was unite today. Unite today or be massacred by Frieza tomorrow. Here on Earth, nobody would team up with Vegeta after what he did in the previous sagas, and especially in a battle you are destined to lose. So let's talk about the androids. That's what you call it. And had it not been for Trunks' interfering with the timeline and the androids in this saga not being evil, just being pricks, not being evil, just being pricks and rebels, it would have been another. It would have been another. It would have been Trunks would have had another dark future on his hand. The androids would have killed would have killed everyone again. Yamcha in the android portion was one of my favorite characters, and this is one of my favorite incarnations of Yamcha, the Cell era Yamcha with the short spiky hair, and the orange kamisu. He rocks it better than Goku, better than Goku. Yamcha, after getting nearly killed by Dr. Gero, recognized that he was useless to the team and decided to carry Goku off to safety. Whereas Vegeta and the other androids chose to fight the androids. Vegeta killed Android 19, but he let him steal a bunch of energy from him, which made it possible for Dr. Gero to actually beat him. Then he let Dr. Gero leave. First, he let Dr. Gero steal a bunch of energy from him. Then he let Dr. Gero. Then Dr. Gero would later leave, get away, and release release two more powerful androids who proceeded to beat the living daylights out of you guys. Vegeta was toyed with and beaten up again, which is his story throughout this entire series. What else about this garbage? What else about this atrocious saga right here? Um yeah, so yeah, things finally get good when Imperfect Cell arrives. This is much better with Cell as a bad guy. Yeah, see, this Android thing was so bad. Even the Toriyama's editors didn't like it. They didn't like the fact that a fat man and a geezer was a threat to the Z fighters. So they told him to change it. So then he replaced it with the other two androids. This was better, but that's still three humans. How is that a threat to the Z fighters? Then he changed it again and finally added Cell. Cell, who started as a tiny life form and grew to the imperfect version you see, and then absorbed the androids to achieve his greatest form, Perfect Cell, and is one of the coolest villains and one of the only villains to actually ever really achieve his goal in fiction. To actually obtain the so-called power he needed. He could have done anything he wanted, but things like world domination were his master's goals. His only goal is to test the depths of his power, so he decided to host the Cell Games. The Cell Games. He's the MVP of this saga, the number one reason this saga is good. And I cheer for him all the time unless Gohan TN 16 and Future Trunks are fighting. And with Future Trunks, Cell beat him in such a lame way, I began cheering for Perfect Cell, even though I like Future Trunks. But but yeah, so yeah, that's Cell. This part was much better with Piccolo, the androids 16, 17, and 18, 17, 18 Trunks, Tien, and later Vegeta. Tien, later Trunks and Vegeta fighting an imperfect Cell and trying to prevent him from absorbing the androids. This is right here was a much better plot than the first series with the Z fighters trying to stop overpower weak ass androids. This right here was a much better plot. Was a much better plot in Vegeta. The only problem I have here was Vegeta himself. Vegeta from not learning anything from the Frieza saga and all of his previous battles, foolishly let Cell absorb the android, actually believing that android that Cell's power would not increase that much, would not increase at all, and he would still be the same. He would still be the same person. But before that, Krillin has a part in this too. One person detractors tried to bring up Krillin's involvement in this, which doesn't defeat my argument. I choose to blame Vegeta because the androids weren't a threat at this point, and you can kill the androids if they try anything after this fight was over. But Cell needed to be dealt with right here. I blame I blame both Vegeta and Krillin, but I blame Vegeta the most. But Krillin putting his feelings before his duty and the mission squishes the controller and tells Android 18 and 16 to escape, Android 18 and 16 never truly escaped the battlefield, which made it possible for Cell to eventually catch up to him and absorb him. To eventually catch up to him and absorb him. But Vegeta the most, I blame him the most for letting Cell become perfect. Cell becomes perfect and beats the holy hell out of Vegeta. Beats the living daylights out of him. And see, once again, this is why the Vegeta character is the worst. You can't sympathize with him because he's an idiot. He's stupid. He's an idiot. He's not arrogant. He's stupid. He's an idiot. I've not seen anything smart from him. People try to bring up as one of his more intelligent moments the Android 19 and 20 moment where he dominated 19 but let 19 steal a lot of energy from him, which somehow made it possible for 20 to be able to beat him. He called 20's bluff and scared 20 off, Android 20 off, Dr. Gero off. Then he let Dr. Gero steal more energy from him, Then he let Dr. Gero get away and release two more powerful androids who straight up beat your ass. Beat your ass. There's nothing smart about Vegeta. The only thing remotely smart about Vegeta was when Trunks tried to fight Cell. Vegeta saw the weakness of the Ultra Super Saiyan form and chose not to use that form. That's probably the only time I've actually seen Vegeta do something smart. And when he does do something smart, it's canceled out by something stupid later. So yeah, he gets the holy daylights beat. He gets the holy daylights beat out of him. Holy daylights beat out of him. So we get to the Cell games. All that training, all that build up. Goku in one of his last badass moments. Goku has not had a badass moment since Nappa and the Ginyu Force. This was his last badass moment. The entire Frieza debacle is canceled out by him and Super bringing Frieza back. Him and Beerus bringing Frieza back. And I mentioned the plot holes involving the Zenkai boost he got needed to stand up to Frieza and survive long enough to get the Super Saiyan Zenkai boost. Zenkai boost. So that's the problem I had with Goku fighting. That's the problem I had with Frieza. So the last badass moments Goku had before this hyperbolic time chamber moment was Nappa and the Ginyu Force. But let's get back to the hyperbolic time chamber where he figured this was his last badass moment in Dragon Ball Z right here, where he figured out the weakness to the Ultra Super Saiyan form and came up with the idea of staying Super Saiyans for a day to realize the full power of the Super Saiyan, once again surpassing both Vegeta and Trunks and taking his place as the strongest character. These two taking their place as the strongest characters in Dragon Ball. But let's continue. So we get to the Cell games. Goku. Not only do I hate the fact that he quit against Cell, but he quit against Cell without telling his teammates. And son and discussing his so-called plan with his son. Had his son knew he would have to step in and get involved, that he had a part in the plan, same with those, they would have probably been more prepared going into Super Saiyan 2, probably would have came out much easier, or he would have been motivated to fight Cell even more. But instead, he he quit against Cell, threw his own son to the wolves without telling him. So not only is he a bad father, he's a bad friend, and thanks to him, that led directly to Android 16's death. Android 16, seeing everybody else fail, finally had to step in and try to undo all the damage him and the androids caused by self-destructing. Bulma removed the bomb on the androids, removed the bomb on Android 16, and Cell pushed Android 16's button and blew him to pieces. Then what else? Oh yeah. Cell spawned the Cell Juniors and took the Sensu Beans away from Krillin. Krillin and sicked the Cell Juniors onto the Z Fighters. And had it not been for Android 16 convincing Hercule to throw his head at Cell and throw his head at Cell and Android 16 convincing Gohan to let the power loose because people there are some people who just won't understand and Cell is one of those beings. Finally, everyone would have died again and Trunks would have once again failed, which I thought was actually gonna happen. I thought everybody except for Gohan and Trunks was gonna die and was gonna die and the plot be no matter how hard you try, you can't change the future. You can't change the future. Yeah, you won't get killed by androids. Instead, you all get killed by Cell, which probably should have happened because everyone would become dumber and go to great decline after this saga. So that probably should have happened. But let's continue. So then Gohan becomes Super Saiyan 2. Oh, but it goes to his head. And instead of killing Cell, he decides he wants to make him suffer. Now, at the time, I actually liked this. But since you didn't do nothing with it, several years later, he made the same mistake with Majin Buu. So I deem this right here to be complete and utter failure because you didn't do nothing with it. You didn't do nothing with it. So he was kicking Cell's butt. So then after punching Android 18 out of him, Cell comes up with the idea to self-destruct and destroy everybody on Earth with him. Goku comes up with the plan to send him to King Kai's world so he can blow up. He takes him to King Kai's world. Instead of taking him, he takes him to King Kai's world and gets King Kai, Gregory, and Bubbles in them killed. When he could have, since he planned on not surviving, he could have took him to another planet, an uninhabitable planet, an uninhabitable planet where no one goes, or into the vacuum of space, since you planned on not surviving anyway. But no, he chose to take him to King Kai's planet, destroy King Kai's planet, and killing King Kai, Gregory, and Bubbles and himself in the process. Oh, but wait a minute, Cell, due to something with his nucleus, I don't remember what it was, somehow managed to survive and come back even stronger than ever as Super Perfect Cell. So instead of getting Gohan versus Super Perfect Cell, we get Cell immediately shooting a blast, killing Future Trunks, killing Future Trunks, and this is the moment everyone likes. As a kid, I like this moment, but once again, because you didn't do nothing with it several years later, Vegeta did something even more cruel and unforgiving several years ago that this moment is immediately canceled out. Vegeta foolishly attacks Cell in a blind rage. Since when is charging at someone, throwing a ki blast at them, and throwing multiple ki blasts at the person, when has that ever worked? That was a joke in Team 4 Star's Android Cell Saga. When Vegeta did that, Cell was like, come on, Vegeta, when has this ever worked? Then Cell comes out of nowhere, knocks Vegeta out cold, and is about to kill him, but Gohan has to step in and save Vegeta's clumsy ass, thus losing his right or left arm in the process. I can't remember. Losing an arm. Now putting the team in deeper shit. Even Krillin said so. Everyone likes to act like this is a good moment. I feel sorry for Trunks. I don't feel sorry for Vegeta. I feel sorry if Trunks did all this. Trunks sacrificed everything, including his life, to save this ungrateful piece of shit Saiyan Vegeta. And how does Vegeta and Goku repay him? Oh, they get him killed. Yeah, I feel sorry for Trunks, not Vegeta. Then, if you want to pretend this is good, because as a kid, I actually did like this moment. 7 years later, Vegeta does something even worse. Then it's even worse, because you cheated Gohan out of the win here and make him and Cell look weak. You built Cell up to be extremely powerful. Somehow, a one-arm Kamehameha wave and a distraction from Vegeta is strong enough to beat him, who's supposed to be superhumanly strong. Then Gohan, who was kicking Cell's ass episodes earlier, now needs help from Vegeta, who's weaker than both of them, to beat Cell. So even the greatest ending, the greatest The greatest ending sucks. So the greatest ending of Dragon Ball Z sucks. And before I wrap this up, I got one other plot hole I gotta talk about. Bulma's plot hole in the Android saga. Bulma saw Dr. Gero, who's a who's an absorption model. How did she how did she know to build a contraption that shuts off the androids that for Android 17 and 18, who were two models she did not see? Those are supposed to be the new improved models. You saw the weaker absorption model of Dr. Gero. So how can you build a machine to turn them off? And that's one of the main reasons I hate Bulma. She's a Mary Sue. She's a Mary Sue and an overpowered character too. Only instead of being overpowered with like a power level, she's not a fighter. She has intelligence. Bullshit intelligence, unrealistic science and stuff. It's just like Ninja Turtles and all those Saturday morning cartoons where the characters out of scratch and out of nothing show up with these high tech, with these super technologically advanced high tech inventions, and there's no rhyme or reason how they got them. However, I accept it in cartoons like Teenage Human Mutant Ninja Turtles. You have Donatello, who lives in a sewer, somehow making all this you have Donatello who lives in a sewer, somehow making all these quote unquote contraptions, who lives in a sewer and out of scratch making all these technologically advanced contraptions. That's a cartoon. This is supposed to be an anime. So I don't accept that here. And this saga was good, but the Boo saga ruins this entire victory and anything that was good about this. 7 years later, after this saga, a Majin Buu saga should never happen. They make Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and everyone except Tien make the same mistake with Majin Buu, who is even stronger and more fearsome than Cell. So, like I said, with that being said, the Android Saga, one of the worst sagas of all time. It's only good because of Cell. I'm actually now saddened with Cell's death. I'm actually more sad about Cell's death than I am happy about Gohan's awesome victory here. Gohan's awesome victory here because of Vegeta's involvement. Well, that was the Cell. That was the Cell and Android. That was the Cell, and that was my rant on the Cell and Android based. That was my rant on the Cell and Android based sagas. If you don't want to hear the rest of the music, turn the video off right now.